Hello, welcome back to the Board Games 4K YouTube channel, and this is a channel where we give you reviews, playthroughs, unboxings, and we generally like to talk a load of bollocks about tabletop gaming in general. And in this video we're going to be talking about a very small card game which was quite popular when it was first released a few years ago. We're going to be talking about Steve Finn's Biblios, and in this game what you'll be doing, you will be placing cards into certain piles, and then you'll be using the cards that you got to buy other cards in an auction in an attempt to manipulate some certain dice, in an attempt to manipulate the scoring that will give you victory points that will allow you to win the game. So in this video we're going to be giving you a very brief overview of the rules. We'll be telling you what we do like, what we don't like, and then we'll come back and we'll tell you whether or not Biblios is still worth playing and whether it's still relevant today and in the future. So remember, if you're new here, then please consider subscribing to this channel. Leave a comment in that section down below. We'll see you after this.
Board Games 4K.
So Biblios, how do you play this game? So Biblios takes place over two phases. The first phase is the gift phase, and then the second phase is the auction phase, right? And dependent on how many players you got, you're going to take a certain amount of cards out of the deck, and then what you're going to do, you are going to allocate a certain number of cards to a certain number of locations. So what you do, you draw a card, you look at it, and you can either place it in front of you, in which case it's going to go into your hand at the end of that round. You're going to place it into the discard pile, or you're going to place it face up in the center of the table, right? So you're going to keep drawing cards until you've come to the limit of the allocation, but you can only ever put one card in front of yourself and one card into the auction pile. The remaining cards must go face up in the center of the table, right? So then what you're going to do, the other players will then choose in turn order a card from the center, and then they'll put it in their hand. You'll take the card that you put in front of yourself and you'll put it in your hand, right? So there's different types of cards in this deck. What you've got is a different number of suits. You've got the blue pigment cards, you've got the green holy book cards, you've got the manuscripts, you've got the yellow monk cards, and then you've got the red forbidden tome cards, right? So you'll notice that each of these cards has got a number on it, and that's the value of the card. And you'll also got another letter in the bottom corner, which is to do with a tiebreak at the end of the round, right? So this game's all about having majority in certain suits. You'll look at the scriptorium, which is that little ball with all the dice on, and then whoever's got the most value cards in a certain suit will get that number of points that's on the dice, right? There's also purple cards which will allow you to manipulate the numbers on the dice. You'll be able to increase the amount of points you get, or you'll be able to decrease the amount of points that you get on the dice. So once you have burnt through the whole deck, then you will move on to the auction phase, right? So what you're going to do, you're going to take the discard pile, and then you're going to shuffle it up, and then you'll draw a card from the discard pile, and then it will go off to auction. So a player will make a bid. Next player's got an option to increase the bid or pass. Once all players are passed, then the player who has made the highest bid will get to claim that card, right? So bids can be made in either gold or cards. Gold cards range from 1 to 3, and you can add cards to the bid to sort of pad it out a little bit, right? So you'll keep doing this until the discard pile has been exhausted, and then you'll end up with a bunch of cards. You've got to remember that if a purple card comes up when you buy it, then you've got to adjust the dice accordingly, you know what I mean? So then what you'll do, you'll add up all the value of all the cards in all the different suits. You'll look at the scriptorium. The player who had the highest value cards in each suit will get that number of points, and the player with the most points will be the winner of Biblios. So what do we like about Biblios? So the first thing that we really like about Biblios is the packaging, the box. It looks like a bleeding book, doesn't it? I mean, look at that. Look, it opens up and it looks like a book, and it's absolutely fantastic. They've gone all out on the production quality for Biblios, and yeah, we really like this packaging. It is super. So the second thing that we really like about Biblios is that you've got 3 facets that are going to directly affect the way the game plays out in the second portion, in the auction phase, right? You've got the suits on the cards, you've got the gold that's in the deck, and you've also got the church cards that are going to affect the end game scoring. And the way this works is that you've got to be very mindful. You're going to need a lot of gold to buy the cards that are going to be available for auction. You're also going to have to make sure that you're going to have a certain number of church cards that are available if you see your opponent starting to run away with a certain amount of points. Yes, you're going to have to try and find a way of getting that down. All the while this is going on, you've also got to concentrate on getting the majority in each of the suits, right? So there's this sort of a troika of challenging decisions to be made in this game. So the third thing that we really like, and this sort of follows on from what we were saying in the last point, is that the ability to manipulate the scriptorum through church cards and ultimately manipulate the end game scoring is absolutely fantastic. I mean, you could even bluff here. You can even sort of, maybe if you've got an abundance of church cards, you can drop down a die that's going to be beneficial to try and signal to players that you're not interested in that suit, right? So there's mind games going on again. It's another one of these games where you can mess with people's heads, and that's really, really good thing about Biblios. So the final thing that we really like about Biblios is the way that such a simple card game scales so well between all player accounts. I mean, it's not a groundbreaking idea, but the fact you can take a certain amount of cards out of the game and the game stays balanced is a really, really good design feature that we always applaud when board game designers get this right. And it's not always easy to balance a game, especially a small card game like this, to balance it through all player counts. But Biblios works well with 2, 3 or 4 players any day of the week, even after you've had your breakfast. You know what I mean? So the first thing that we don't like about Biblios is the fact that running out of gold in the second portion of the game is a major problem. You've also got the fact that most of the crap cards that nobody wants ends up in the auction pile. So there's that sort of let down feeling where you know that the second part of the game, you're just going to be taking the stuff that you didn't want and other people didn't want in the first place. So yeah, you've got a couple of problems where you're not going to be able to gather enough gold. And if you do gather a lot of gold to buy the stuff that nobody wanted, you're not going to have the cards that you need to get the most points at the end, right? So yeah, nightmare. So the second thing that we don't like about Biblios is the fact that the dice are just markers used to determine the amount of points you're going to get at the end. And when we first opened this up years and years ago, we're like, bloody hell, it's got dice in it. Oh, it's going to be good. It's going to be like a sort of a dice fest. No, the dice don't do anything but serve as just boring old generic markers. And that's a little bit of a disappointment, you know what I mean? So, to summarise, is Biblios still worth playing donkey's years after it's first released donkey's years ago? So we are going to say yes. This is a very enjoyable filler game that successfully manages to emulate the sort of timeless classic mechanics of games like Full Sail, you know. Okay, the second half of the game, when you're going to be going through the auction and you're just going to be going through the chaff that everybody wanted to discard in the first phase, can be a little bit of a letdown, but the fact this game scales really, really well with all player counts, sort of raises it up above the negative. So we're going to give Biblios 3 out of 5. We do pull this out on occasion. We don't play it as much as we used to because there are better filler games out there these days. We prefer games like Cutthroat Caverns or maybe even Ink and Gold for these sort of types of filler games, you know. So there you go, that's Biblios. Remember, if you are new here, then please consider subscribing to this channel. Leave a comment in that section down below. And we'll see you next time.
Hey, 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 hey.